Hog Sty.
Well, another week, another loss in Washington's book. Today wasn't pretty. Sean McVay comes into town and basically puts us. I don't even know how to describe it. It was awful. And for those who are listening, I apologize that you had to watch it just like we did. It was that rough. But this is also unfamiliar territory with the team these last few years. So I guess we can go ahead and get right into it. To back to regular grind. This week we have my guy Steve and Rob here with us. Fellas, how are you all doing today?
I wish I could say I didn't expect this to happen, but let's be honest. I mean, I did expect it to happen. It's just really sad to say. One of these days, this team's going to turn around, you know?
One of these days.
It's either that or go on forever.
I know. You had to say it. Like you're a fan, so you had to give that glimpse of optimism. Rob, how you doing today, boss?
I'm good, man. I could care less about what Washington doing.
You know.
Well, I saw you finally got frustrated enough with the Twitter Illuminati, I think, Rob, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm just done with it.
I don't blame you.
So I take it. This was a week off in terms of watching the team.
No, more of until they start doing right by players and running the organization like they should, they can count me out.
Okay. And that's actually that's a very fair and valid criticism because today we got to see a lot of what. Well, first off, we're going to go ahead and get into the stats, but we've seen a lot of what Rob is hinting to today, and it was unexpected for it to happen this quick, but it did. But Steve, before we get into it, let's go ahead and get the stats out of the way, and we can talk about the big stories.
I'm just going to warn everybody, these stats are really, really ugly. As a team, the team passing stats, which remember team passing counts sacks, or subtracts sacks from the gross total. So the team passing 18 for 30 for 70 yards, 8 sacks, combined quarterback rating 67.5. Kyle Allen for his almost 2 quarters, 9 for 13, 74 yards. Alex Smith was 9 for 17, 37 yards. Nobody threw a touchdown. Nobody threw an interception. Great. Team rushing, 14 for 38 yards. As a team, that's 2.7 yards per attempt. That includes Kyle Allen's 1 7-yard scramble. Tennille Gibson, 11 for 27. J.D. McKissick, 1 for 3. Alex Smith ran for a yard. So as a running back core, they were 12 for 30, which is 2.6 or so yards per attempt. Receiving wise, J.D. McKissick 6 for 46, Terry McLaurin 3 for 26, Tennille Gibson 5 for 24, Tamarick Hemingway, who got brought up yesterday, 1 for 10, Logan Thomas 1 for 4, Isaiah Wright 1 for 3, Dontel Inman had 1 for -2 yards. On the defense, Landon Collins 10 tackles, 4 solo, Jonathan Allen 8 tackles, Montez Sweat 8 tackles. Montez had a sack. That was the only sack of the game. We'll get to that in a minute. On the Rams side, Jared Goff, 21 for 30, 309 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, quarterback rating of 111.7. Cam Akers was the leading rusher on the day for both teams, 9 for 61, 6.8 yards per attempt. Darrell Henderson, 15 for 38. Malcolm Brown, 8 for 30. On the receiving end, yet another tight end, Gerald Everett, 4 for 90, was the leading receiver on the day. Robert Woods, 4 for 71. Cooper Kupp, 5 for 66. And it goes down from there. And, of course, I'm not even going to insult you guys' intelligence by asking this. Tressway, 10 punts, 511 yards. Obviously, he dramatically outpunted the offense. So my bigger question was, where does that rank in the realm of punting, great punting days? And so I did, while I was sitting here waiting on the show to start, I did look up some stats. And since 1990, that is the 24th best punting day in the NFL. And if you go all the way back to the 30s, it was down to something like 39, I believe, something like that. So the top punting day ever was Leo Arguz in 1998, 709 yards. So if anybody's wondering, that was Tressway's day. MVP Tressway, 511 yards punting. So that is stats on the day.
Well, obviously, we can just go ahead and cut to the chase and get to the bigger story here. It's the quarterback position in general. obviously Alex Smith, I can't just disregard it. He made his appearance after 2 years. Given the story that he's been through. If we want to speak on some kudos, we can get that out the way. But we also have to talk about the grand scheme of things, which is actually playing football, and actually how that offense performed. So, Rob, I guess I'll get you. Well, no, I want to hear what you have to say in complete entirety before somebody follows up. So I want to hear your thoughts after Steve's. But Steve, let's hear it, and then I want to hear what Rob got to say.
All right. Well, in terms of Alex Smith, first of all, kudos for coming back. He ought to be the NFL Comeback Player of the Year just for playing in one game. And for the record, Ron Rivera said after the game that Kyle is starting next week to answer that question. Look, he wasn't good. He missed, the couple times let him go deep. He missed both balls. He was rusty, obviously. He didn't have any, any cohesion with the receivers at all. That having been said, he was under, massive pass rush all day long. They sacked him 6 times. It's Wes Martin just humiliated himself today. And Schweitzer, all those guys, all the interior linemen were just atrocious. So kudos to Alex Smith, but he clearly wasn't good. I think Kyle Allen looked better, at least in the beginning of the game, before the offensive line really went downhill south. So in terms of Alex, you're great on him. I'm glad he didn't get hurt, but he didn't look very good. That's my initial thought.
All right, Rob, what's your thoughts on this situation?
I didn't watch
quarterback situation.
Well, I didn't watch the game. I'm not going to critique anybody play because I didn't see it. But I did see the final score, and that let me know that didn't nothing happen. There was nothing different. So we all know, if anything, this proved to the naysayers that Dwayne Haskins is the problem. It's not the problem. He is not the problem. He's blame-free, guilt-free. And granted, this was one start for Kyle Allen, and then Alex came in after 2 years. Of course, there's going to be rust there, but it just proves it. There's no offensive line. There's nobody to throw the ball to outside of McLaurin. There's nothing else. There's nothing else to say. Haskins has not been put in position to be successful, and then you bench him. And you come out and say all these praiseworthy things and how he earned it in the spring and in the summer and in training camp, all that stuff, how he's changed his body, you love his work ethic, and then you come out and criticize his work ethic. To me, it's the same old stuff with a different coach. So people can say what they want to. I like Ron personally, but I think, if we're being honest, I think everybody in that building is doing a shitty job of putting Dwayne Haskins in position to be successful. When you think about guys like a Joe Burrow and a Baker Mayfield, Baker had 2 years with the same weapons, and still everybody questions whether or not he's was worth a top 20 pick or top 15 pick. Daniel Jones with the Giants is continually stinking it up, minus his best players or whatever his best player in Saquon Barkley. But that team sees a vision and they sticking with him. Because believe it or not, these down games and these down years, those things, players don't like to live in mediocrity. I don't know one NFL player that wants to be mediocre. You want to be great. So he needs these lessons, and they're denying him those lessons. So to me, it's just another player that Washington's ruined. We've seen numerous guys come through that organization, and then all of a sudden, you don't hear from them again until they ball in somewhere else. So I could care less about what Washington doing. So they do right by the players and stick and actually go a direction and stick with it, I won't think anything is different. So I'm not watching.
So this week, for those also who are not familiar with the kind of groundbreaking performance that the offense had this week, Washington finished. This is according to Pro Football Reference. Washington finished with 108 total yards. That is the third lowest total for any game since 1970. So just in case you guys are wondering how bad the offense did, that kind of puts things in perspective for you. Personally,
just to add to that real quick, 7 3 and outs in the second half for -6 total yards. So to add to that, so go ahead, Jamal.
Tell me who the Rams have on defense besides Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey.
A bunch of mediocre players.
Exactly, and we can't even separate from those guys. Nuntrell, Inman, nobody. So what are we doing here, man? Like, what are we doing here? Seriously, I really question the thought process. And then you knew this was going to be a down year. No, I didn't have any expectations of this having to be a good season. You know you're building towards something, but then you come out and say our players are tired of losing games. Like, shut up. You didn't do anything in the offseason to help them. You lose
by 20.
You didn't do anything in the offseason to help them win. No, you did no key acquisitions. You traded away your best players for ground beef and pork chops. You're like, what the hell do you think is going to happen, Ron? Like, come on, man. This is not making sense to me anymore.
So that's one thing I want to talk about with Ron. I think everything that happened this week kind of blew back in his face to like the umpteenth degree. It was kind of severe in how it happened. Rob, you touched on it. The things that he was preaching to the media, or he was trying to get everybody to believe through the media, was logical in terms of, okay, you want to win games, but in terms of what your messaging has been throughout the course of the season, it has not been consistent. A lot of things that Ron has done to this point, it pointed to, at first it was all about development. Then it transitioned to, okay, we've seen enough from the quarterback in X amount of games. We need him to play better. Then it transitioned to, well, first of all, and he need to play better, but he's still our quarterback. Then it transitioned to, he's on the clock. Then it transitioned to, now he's not our quarterback no more, but we feel like we need a person who's in here that can play a little bit better and knows the system. Given that, I will not take away anything from Kyle Allen because he only played a few series and he got hurt. I thought he got concussed, but apparently he was cleared to go after he got injured.
Yeah, I think it was his arm that was the ultimate problem, or his shoulder or something.
Yeah, so I won't discredit Kyle Allen, but what I will say is, after the few reports this week saying that Alex Smith was really their go-to guy, then that's where the problem lies, because you put so much faith, or you put a seed in the media ear for them to report this stuff that Alex Smith is really your guy, and he comes out and basically it was awful. Like, he basically put in a dud. It wasn't much he could do about the offensive line. The offensive line, it wasn't nothing Scott Turner could do with the offensive line with how bad they were playing. Like, what could you really do if he's getting pressured on damn near every drop back?
Jamal, that's every snap of Washington football on offense if we've watched this year. That is every snap. And you're grading Dwayne Haskins by the same criteria, so I'm not giving these guys a break. We know what Kyle Allen is capable of because he's familiar with the offense. And what he did last year with Carolina, even being familiar with the offense, there was no difference. There was
I wasn't cutting them any.
Yeah, I know you're not advocating for him, but my point is, this is exactly what we've seen all season, and we understood what it was going to be this year.
Yeah, look, I fully agree with what Rob is saying about Dwayne Haskins. I have been told on Twitter that I'm completely wrong, and Dwayne sucks and this and that. The Redskins can write a book on how to ruin a quarterback in 7 easy steps. Okay, at no point since he was drafted have they done the right thing by this kid. They have not put him in a position to succeed at all. Ron Rivera clearly never believed in him. He got 4 games to prove himself. And yeah, he wasn't good last week. Yes, he has happy feet. Yes, he's missed balls. No, he doesn't look particularly comfortable in the pocket. But all of those things are young, are marks of a young quarterback.
He has to develop.
Yeah, he's a young quarterback who only played one real season of college football. On top of that, the offensive line has sucked. And John Keim, I'm sorry you're wrong. John Keim is who I got in, who disagreed with me today and said the offensive line has been good enough to win. And no, it hasn't, John. No, it has not. Yes, Dwayne hadn't been perfect, but especially the left side of the line on pass pro and the entire line in run blocking, terrible. Horrible, terrible. And so the Redskins, or Washington, has done absolutely everything wrong with their young quarterback. You are exactly right when you mentioned, I was thinking about Daniel Jones and Baker Mayfield both. Both of those guys have stunk up the joint at times. Neither team has even contemplated taking those two players out because they are taking a long view of letting them develop. If he wasn't ready, you shouldn't have started him in the first place last year. Let him sit for a year or two. I would have been fine with that. Find a vet and play him if he was so unready. But you're just throwing away a first-round draft pick after 4 games is just poor coaching. Poor coaching, poor everything.
Go ahead, Jamal. I'm sorry.
I was going to transition somewhere else anyway, so go ahead, finish it.
No, what I'm saying, if you knew, like Steve said, if you knew he wasn't ready, then why not go out and get Cam for a year, a 1-year rental? Look at what Cam signed for in New England. We knew, you know what you're getting. Cam knows the business, and his agent knew the business. Ron knows the business. You're not going to give Cam a crazy contract. We could have afforded that and let Dwayne sit. And I still believe this, that when Alex Smith went down, no matter who we would have drafted,
they were going to ruin him.
It was going to ruin him. That's it. Because Alex being there would have gave you some stability for a couple of years, knowing what you're going to get out of the quarterback position, as well as look at Alex's track record of grooming quarterbacks. He's made no qualms about it. Like, he knows his place and his role in those situations. He knew he was a bridge in San Francisco when Colin Kaepernick emerged, and he helped Colin to an extent. He did the same thing with Patrick Mahomes. He knows the situation. So when he went down, the next quarterback was doomed. My issue is we're seeing the same thing with a different coach and the new GM. I'm really surprised by that, honestly.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I really thought for 5 minutes that what Ron Rivera might be bringing in is a new culture to this team, and instead what we're seeing is as bad or worse as it's been. Ron Rivera has been very inconsistent with his messaging. At one hand he says he wants to win. On the other hand, he's throwing away timeouts at the end of every single half. To
prevent injuries.
Yeah, which is just absurd. And they made no effort outside of Amari Cooper to bring in any talent worth of Tinker's Dam this offseason, and yet the quarterback gets blamed. And what happens? Kyle Allen put up a quarterback rating of 83.5 in 28 minutes or whatever. That's no better than what Dwayne did.
And I just want to point this out because I noticed it towards the tail end of the game. For a second, I knew Kevin O'Connell was with the Rams, but I forgot that he was with the Rams. And it's so ironic. It's so ironic that the guy that Ron Rivera let go or let go in favor of Scott Turner, the young OC, the other young OC that you let go, and Kevin O'Connell is over there doing numbers with the offense that he has, but also was a guy who knew how to move the ball with Dwayne. Like, as soon as they found their rhythm late last year, they was able to look at somewhat like a competent offense with Dwayne in the game.
That's a good point, Jamal.
And
point.
It's kind of hilarious that you let him go. Now you're in the bed that you made. You got to lay in it. But one thing is for sure that I've been sold on. I was questionable initially in week 1. Week 2, sorry. I was questionable in week 2 because I gave him a game and a half. But now I'm sold on it. And this includes Dallas too, because their defense is terrible. If Mike McCarthy and Ron Rivera are smart and they know what's best for this team, they will just get rid of it at the end of week 17 and fire their defensive coordinator in Dallas and then fire the offensive coordinator in Washington. It is no point in continuing this mess because it's the same thing that we're talking about with the players. Why are you just move on, cut your ties, get somebody else in here who's experienced. That's what you should have did to begin with. Not no rookie guy who you can build with Dwayne Haskins. Get somebody in here who a system can actually work here. And then work on building the pieces in terms of the players. But now I think you got to do both now. Fire the OC and get a respectable guy in here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think Scott Turner, certainly the past 2 games has been awful in his play call. The offense looked exactly the same this week as it did last week.
And I remember I said that too. I said there was probably not going to be any, when people talk about opening up the playbook, it's probably had little to do with the play calling versus the quarterback seeing more. And that's what I thought. That's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, and it can't be understated just how bad the offensive line was today. I mean, Rob, I know you didn't see it, but I mean, Wes Martin in particular just got absolutely embarrassed by Aaron Donald today.
Okay,
Absolutely
so
embarrassed.
well, I'm not mad at that. Aaron Donald embarrasses everybody.
I'm not mad at it. I'm just saying it is
Yeah,
what it is. You know.
I mean, at least get in his way. Damn.
The
But you
important the
know what I
important
mean?
thing is that they didn't even double team Aaron
No.
Donald for the most part, and that was the awful thing. Like he was getting off against Wes Martin all day long, and he had no help.
He
You
was
know what's
credited with
crazy
4
is
sacks today.
what's crazy is as I look at the history of the league and I think about the guys, the quarterbacks around the league now. You know, just going back, Peyton Manning threw 26 interceptions his rookie year. I mean, nobody called for his head. You know what I mean? Tom Brady didn't get off to the best of starts too. If you really want to be honest, nobody remembers that. He wasn't the
It took him
best.
5 or 6 years before
Yes.
he looked like he was,
Elite,
all world.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just man, the media puts this stuff out and the team puts this stuff out. Another thing that I didn't like was that now we're starting to hear these whispers again. When Ron first got here, everybody was tight-lipped in the building. I thought things would change. We wouldn't hear these BS backdoor bathroom stories about players and what they do and what they don't do. Now all that stuff is coming back. I'm losing hope, man. Honestly,
And what you're talking about, Rob, are the rumors
the
about
rumors and
Haskins' study habits
the,
and
yeah, exactly all that.
unsourced, rumors and it's terrible. I wish I could say something positive about the offense today, but there were no positives whatsoever with this offense. I don't even know what to say. I mean, there's nothing good happened today.
Yeah, so all right, well, we spoke a lot on offense. Let's talk about a side of the ball that we should have a lot to say, because this was supposed to be the strongest unit of the team, and unfortunately, the Washington football team gave up another 30-point game defensively. And truth be told, what can you really say? Like, I don't understand if this isn't proof enough that it's not strictly on the offense for why the defense is allowing 30 points a game since week 2. I don't know. I really don't know what else to tell you. The Rams had, I think what did they say, Steve? Like 4 or 5 plays over 40 yards in this game. What does that have to do with the offense? Please tell me. Please explain to me and explain to these listeners why the offense was the reason for them giving up 5 40-plus yard plays in a game.
Look, Washington's defensive front seven is elite because people tell me it's elite and they spend a lot of draft picks on it. Apparently this is true. Look, they've given up 30 points, as you said. It's proof enough all by itself. I see too often they get manhandled in the run game. They put no pressure at all on Jared Goff today, at all. But for 1 or 2 plays, they got credited with 1 sack, and Montez Sweat got in his face one other time. That was it. No pressure at all. They did double team Chase for most of the day. That just leaves somebody else open, and nobody came through. The secondary was atrocious, just atrocious. There were clearly mixed confusion in coverage, in zone coverage several times, which resulted in long plays. This defense had no redeeming qualities at all today, and just spare me with they got 3 or 4 3-and-outs in the second half after the Rams were done playing and just were trying to run out the clock. Yeah, great. It didn't mean anything.
Well, I agree. I don't even know if I feel like if you're listening and you've heard me say this before and you thought I was wrong, all I want is to just tell me that I was right. That's all you got to do, and I will be completely fine with moving on and forgetting everything happened between weeks 2 through 5. Just tell me that I was right, and we can completely move on. Because I'm sorry. I was sitting here reading y'all messages. But yes.
No, the noise is Dakota, who is protesting Washington's play today. Dakota being Jamal's dog.
Absolutely. But yes, I'm just completely I'm not surprised by what they're doing because I think week 5? 3 of the 5 games that they've played, they've given up a touchdown on the opening drive. And 2 or maybe 3 of them, they've given up a score on the second drive as well. So I'm gonna have to fact check the second part, but the first part is true.
I'll tell you
they're
that. Sorry, I thought you were done. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that they're not as good as a lot of people wanted to say they were. But I do believe that they're a good unit. I just don't think that they're on the edge of greatness or the edge of elite. I don't think that they're there yet, but I do think that they're a good unit. And I'll stick by that, but I just don't want people to keep saying that it's the offense's fault that the defense isn't good. No, the offense isn't good in itself, but the defense is still allowing points. Regardless of how much yards they're giving up, they're still giving up too many points, and people just refuse to accept that part of the thing.
Washington had no turnovers today, and they gave up several long drives. I'd like to get Rob's input on this. And I know you didn't see the game. I know you were boycotting it, but the linebackers looked especially bad today. John Bostic missed multiple tackles. They let yet another tight end put up big yardage. KPL, I thought, was out of place on the deep pass over the middle late in the game. I don't know how this linebacker core rates amongst the NFL. I think it needs a lot of draft attention, in the future. I just don't believe in any of them.
It's been neglected for so long. I honestly believe it's been neglected. That position has been neglected for a long time. But I will say this too, Jamal, to your point about people saying don't blame the offense. Well, you can blame the offense because multiple 3 and outs means that the offense is playing 30, 40 plays a game, but I'm playing 70. So that factors in as well. If I'm constantly on the field and you guys can put together a long drive, that leads to more mental errors because you're tired or, that leads to you being out of place. And to Steve's point about the linebackers, KPL is disastrous. Please get him away from this team. I've seen multiple plays last game where he was just completely out of place, shooting gaps, trying to make a play, and just wildcatting. You cannot have that. That leads to distrust in the defense. It leads to distrust in the scheme, as well as other players around him saying, okay, well, this guy going to do what he want to do, so I got to try to be in 2 or 3 places. I can't really do my job. When I was playing, that guy was LaRon Landry. LaRon would blitz when he wanted to, when he had to run it back in man, and you just had to pick him up. Or you just had to try to compensate for him doing what he wanted to do. Those type of things kill a defense. It kills the scheme. It kills the momentum. And last but not least, they just not very good. When your defensive line, they can't stop the run on their own. That defensive line is nice, but they cannot stop the run on their own. The guys got to fill gaps. Guys got to trust that the guys in front of them are going to be where they're supposed to be, so then they can be where they're supposed to be, which only makes it cleaner for the safeties. And I don't believe in any of the safeties that we have. And I'm honest, man. I'm really second guessing that Landon contract. I think he cashed in at the right time, man, and that's just is what it is. But I think he can be used in a better position. But
I think Landon Collins needs to be a linebacker.
Yeah, I agree with that. He can be used in a better position. He can't do no worse than KPL. I really don't like. I just don't like his game. Honestly, KPL's game is just it's horrendous, man. It's high school. It's high school football. We did that in high school. We did that freshman year of college. You just run around trying to make plays, but this is the NFL, man.
Well, I'll tell you, the play I was thinking of with KPL was the Cooper Kupp 29-yard pass, early in the fourth quarter, I guess. And what happened? Well, Kupp comes out of the slot. KPL plays the run. Runs right by him, middle zone. Of course, Troy Apke's nowhere to be found. But that was KPL's job to, at a minimum, chip him instead of playing and just completely blowing the read and playing the run. That's on KPL.
Yeah. I was just laughing because when Rob talked about the safeties, Steve, they benched Troy Apke for 2 series
for a while, yeah,
and nothing changed. they was still getting beat. And I was like everybody got what they wanted, and DeShazer Everett. First off, DeShazer gave up a DPI on a 3rd and 8. His very first drive out there, the defense made a stop, and he gave up unfortunately he gave up a DPI. So it was just kind of crazy how everything turned out. There's nothing that the defense or even the staff nothing that they can do in terms of the safety and secondary play. It's nothing. Like they don't have the roster, they don't have the depth to bench the guys that they have. And that was the concern for me at that position. Quarterback, I understand it if you feel the way you feel, because quarterback is the more dependent position. I think I said it right, but yeah, I understand that. But the safeties, like they all aren't good. So if the people that you got starting ain't good, who you expect to fill in the shoes? Like it's somebody that's worse.
That goes back to yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I got a remedy because I didn't watch the game, but just from listening to you guys, it sounds like we got our coach too. We got out schemed. So the remedy to me is simplify.
Because let me tell you, and I don't mean to go back to offense, but I watched a video by J.T. O'Sullivan that our buddy Mark Tyler from Hogs Haven put out. And O'Sullivan's a former NFL quarterback, coach, very good film guy. Watch this film if you have a chance. And it was the subject of the film was why did Haskins fail, basically. And what he pointed out on this film was that the protection schemes for this offensive line are terrible. There's a lot of these free runs to the quarterback is because the scheme is completely screwed up. And we saw that again today. What happened? Stunt around Morgan Moses, free run to the quarterback, Alex Smith. Why was Smith on the right side? Well, because Aaron Donald beat Wes Martin like a drum again and forced Smith to roll right into the free rusher who had stunted around Morgan Moses. It's just it's the scheme of the offensive line is bad, and you couple that with players that are bad. It's no wonder they give up 8 sacks. I think Joe Montana would be bad behind this offensive line. And yeah, I put that on the coaches, at least in part. I put that on the coaches.
Yeah, it's rough. It was rough, and I don't think it's the only bright spot in the near future is the fact that they play the Giants next.
It's like who do you want? Who do you get? Okay, everybody wanted Wes Martin out today. Who are you going to replace him with? Keith Ishmael? Are you going to put Keith Ishmael up against Aaron Donald? That's not going to go well. Okay, that's going to go worse.
First of all, that's disrespectful as hell to Aaron Donald to not double team him. For one.
Oh, it is. It's terrible.
Like that's just like I mean, you wouldn't even do that on a video game. Like I mean, come on, be for real. And it's just I don't know, man. We could spend all day talking about this stuff and debating it or whatever. But I just want to rewind for a second and say I just read that little back and forth between you and Kime. I respect his work, but that was dumb. He's totally wrong on that.
Yeah, he's wrong. I don't know what he's looking at. I like Kime and all that. He's a great reporter, but I totally disagree with him. Like, what film are you watching, dude? Seriously. I'm not going to argue with him on Twitter or whatever, but, I mean, he was totally wrong.
A lot of people was getting on him today for, I think he said something yesterday about the O-line play wasn't as good. As bad as people said he was. It's like they said he said that somebody told him that it was winnable, like a member of the staff or something. He was repeating it. So
that's not what he told me. What the thing that Rob brought up with my interaction with Kime was he's saying I could show you plays that show that the O-line wasn't as bad as you think, and it's good enough to win.
He said, okay, all right.
Kime said,
he said
not
good
quote
enough
a
to
coach. Kime told me that the offensive line was good enough to win. First of all, I don't know what that means. What does good enough to win mean? There's a lot of other things.
Let's look at the overall arching theme of that type of rhetoric. It's basically so I can write another trash piece on Dwayne Haskins in the quarterback play. Like I feel like it fuels the media narrative on the quarterback play here in Washington and how the 15th pick of last year wasn't worth it. So, to me, it just fuels it. It's just like you just keeping that BS narrative going. Like, I'm already down in a hole. Let's continue to dig.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Get off me.
That's true.
Dakota off. Sorry, she's literally right here. I couldn't avoid it. She's over here biting my hoodie. acting like a little
Dakota's
kid.
like vehemently, is visibly upset.
Yes.
at Washington's
Well,
performance.
can we give her a helmet and tell her to block Aaron Donald? Because I'm
She's
pretty
literally
sure she'll
telling
do
me
a better job.
it's a sign. She's saying, "Stop talking about this team. Like, move on, move on to the new week." But
Okay, so in terms of defense, look, the Rams aren't that. Here's a newsflash for you: the Rams aren't that good. Okay, I mean, I will die on this hill. The Rams' offense is not that good. What they are is efficient. They play the play action very well, and they have a quarterback who does very well if he's got time, and he can use a short passing game out of play action. That's what Jared Goff is.
They have a coach that knows the deficiencies of the offense and covers them adequately.
Exactly, because when you saw Jared Goff play without McVay there, he was awful, and the reason was they put too much on him. So what did McVay do? Design a system that plays to his strengths, which is something that Washington has not done since
coaching.
Joe Gibbs.
That sounds like coaching. Wow.
Yeah, amazing,
shout out
right?
to Sean, for sure. All right, let's go. Let's end this. Please, let's end this. Let's go ahead and do the game balls.
Because we have to, because it's fun at this point.
Because it's required. So, Steve, I'm going to start with you, and I guess I'll end it. Unless Rob wants to.
I ain't got no game balls. Save your time. I ain't got no game balls.
I am going to give Alex Smith a game ball.
Actually, I do have a game ball. Go ahead.
I'm going to give Alex Smith an offensive game ball. Regardless of how bad he was, good or bad, he came back and played, unexpectedly at that for the first time in 2 years. You get a game ball. And defense, not one of our players deserve a game ball whatsoever, so I'm giving Aaron Donald a game ball, defensive game ball. He was outstanding today. So, Alex Smith, Aaron Donald, game balls.
All right. I'll go ahead second. We'll save the best for last. I'm gonna go offensively. I actually agree. I'm gonna go Alex Smith on offense. And there's literally nobody. There's nobody else to give the game ball to, and everybody played terribly, including Alex. But he got back on the field. He took some lumps. He took a few sacks.
He took 6 sacks.
Yeah, he took 6 sacks. So he took quite a few sacks that told me that he was ready to play if need be. Like in terms of a backup role, but now he's probably gonna be the starter moving forward, because that's what they wanted.
No. Rivera has said that Kyle Allen plays next week if he's healthy. So that was after post-game comments from Rivera.
There we go. All right, so if he's healthy is the key word. So let's see how they manipulate that. But defensively, I pass. Cause I'm not giving nobody no credit for their defense. I was gonna say Fuller for his third interception of the season, second straight game with interception, but it doesn't.
It was a nice read by Fuller, a terrible pass by Goff.
What is that really saying? Like that means nothing. A stupid turnover that resulted in no points really, or no difference in the game. So yeah, that's it. Rob, what you got?
Offensively, I will agree with you guys. Alex Smith does deserve a game ball for getting back out there. Ultimately, I called him crazy because Washington owed him so much more money that he could have just rode off into the sunset with that surgically repaired leg and not have to worry about people trying to kill him. So seeing him back out there, or hearing that he was back out there, was awesome. Defensively, I got to go with my MVP of this team, and that's Tress Way, 500 and some yards. This guy is a freaking monster, bro. If Justin Tucker's Legatron, we got to come up with something for Tress Way. We got to.
Legatron's pretty good though. I never heard Justin Tucker be called Legatron.
That's his nickname, Legatron. Yep.
Yeah, 511 yards punting. I've never even heard of a game. Like I told you guys, it was like 24th or whatever.
But didn't he out-punt the entire game? Like I know the Rams didn't have no 400 yards of offense, did they?
Well, let's see. So Jared Goff had 309 yards, and the LA had 129 yards rushing. And you throw in Washington's 108 yards, so that's 300, 400. No, he didn't out-punt everybody.
He came close.
He came close. He was within striking distance of it.
This guy's a monster, bro. We need to. When's his contract up? Can we re-sign him now?
Man, look,
I've got that here. Well, hold on just 1 second. I have my massive chart.
Nobody's going to argue that contract. Give him money. Pay that man. He out there. You know what? I feel bad for Tress when he's in his freaking 50s. He's going to need a knee replacement. just freaking kicking the ball. It's ridiculous.
And he's not even getting the recognition for it. No Pro
contract.
Bowls, no All Pros, nothing like that.
Tressway is signed through 2024. He's on a $13.25 million deal.
Give him a pay raise.
That's a lot of
Give him a
money.
pay raise.
That is a lot of money. All right, let's go ahead and get up out of here, man. Look, for those who are listening, I just hope that we don't have to have the same type of storyline next week. I'm saying this for myself as well. I told Steve, like, this stuff gets redundant, and I'm sick of it. But hopefully we don't have the same storyline as this week, next week. So with that being said, we will catch you all for the pregame show in a few days. But yeah, for now, me and Dakota are signing off, as well as Alex and Steve and Rob. So peace.
Peace.